It is the Christmas CEO blog time with John Dummersey. And John, nice to be joining you.
Always my pleasure, Mark.
Did you have an air quality policy before about the last month?
We did, but we were hit and miss there. So we've come together, we've spoken to a lot of vets, and what it is basically, we're leaving it up to the trainers. If they believe that the air quality is poor, especially where they're training their horses, they can just withdraw them from the meetings and move forward. We don't want to risk horses, we don't want to risk participants, and we certainly don't want to impact on participants with travelling to the track and all of a sudden it's not right. We've got to protect punters too, because if the horses haven't been worked, well, we want them protected also.
There's been some talk about why can't you take a meeting from, say, well, Goulburn's off today, why couldn't you move it to Menangle? But the problem is the smoke at Goulburn is also from a different fire at Menangle.
Absolutely, and it's not as easy, especially at this time of the year. I must say that's impacting us somewhat. But then we look at Tamworth, where we lost a meeting last week. We've rescheduled a meeting because the tyranny of distance says that they're somewhat isolated. It goes on, but we do our best. We've got to get contractors involved. We've got to get slots on Sky. It's so packed at this time of the year, in particular, that we just can't move.
That moves us on to the abandoned meeting policy. Where does that fit in with all of this?
Well, of course, if horses arrive at the track, the trainers arrive and the drivers arrive and they sign in, we already have a policy where we compensate them to a certain degree. We've also introduced another situation with we're trying to run these meetings, so if we believe in all reasonableness a trainer is en route to a meeting and we call the meeting off, well, we're looking at an ex gratia payment there. It's as reasonable as we can be under the circumstances. We don't want people to be impacted. We would like to call these race meetings off early, but the wind shifts can all of a sudden improve or not improve a meeting.
We saw that with the cricket the other night in Canberra.
Oh, we certainly did, but even Menangle, the last 3 weeks at Menangle, the wind has come in good at the first two meetings. Last Saturday night didn't come in at all, so we had to go very late, 6 o'clock, and we're calling them off.
We just need rain and clear skies.
Yeah, rain to put the fires out and a bit of breeze as well to blow the smoke away.
Feature race meetings, there's some news around the New Zealand bred horses here.
Yeah, well, feature race meetings aren't Carnival Cups meetings. That's one thing we must remember. We went with the first of these feature race meetings at Dubbo, and the support wasn't there. We've seen very poor fields, and they were $10,000 races. So we have to provide. We provide this money for the meetings. We want to provide good betting events for punters. So we looked at the feature race meetings, and there was only 5 of them in total, and they will now let New Zealand or imported horses back into the fields across the board. So
that has to be good for turnover.
Oh, well, we've got turnover is it. Without the turnover, we don't create the revenue. Without the revenue, we can't cause the prize money to increase.
And speaking of turnover, minimum bet limits.
Yeah, well, that's something that some of my followers out there have been hounding me. They gave up, I think, but I never forgot them. And from February 1, we will have minimum bet limits in on harness racing. We've just got to do some final details with the wagering operators, and I really thank them because they've been fully behind it. They haven't pushed back. They want to help. They want to help their punters. So yes, we will have minimum bet limits.
We'll get some more news on that in coming weeks.
Certainly, once we finalise the details with the operators and the legals.
Now, we mentioned feature race meetings. Bathurst must be salivating at this meeting on Boxing Night.
It's one of the greats. It's the 32nd running of the Shirley Turnbull Memorial, so where did all those years go? But this edition, sponsored by Crichton Park, the race, it's a 50,000 Group 2. It's been that before, but this race, Tiger Tara, reigning New South Wales Horse of the Year, Myfield Marshall, the 2018 Miracle Mile winner, and the rest of the field is so solid. 9 races, all full fields. It's the place to be if you're in the Bathurst region on Boxing Night.
Harness.org.au, of course, the place to get those fields, and if it's not smoke, it's poor air quality. If it's not something else, poor old Bankstown had some issues with their lights.
Yeah, that perhaps that's been a long time coming, and we certainly have acted there. Their next meeting has been moved to late afternoon. Certainly we won't need lights for that meeting, but yes, we're really addressing issues that we have at Bankstown. But can I flip back one, the intercity pace?
Of course.
It's
sorry, Wayne Smith.
Yes, it's almost a local event. Darren Elder, or Darren and Melanie, three runners there in that great final. Jeff Dawn, another local, almost full up with the local horses. So the intercity pace, I think it's about the 50-something running. It's a $30,000 race, so it's good. But over this next few days, leading up till the next blog, next Monday, we have Parkes, Leeton, Albury must come in there somewhere along the line. It's Young's on tomorrow night, hopefully. It's just a great time for racing.
57th Inner City Pace. They looked to have a good crowd for the heats again there last night.
It's a great little track and people flock to it. Dubbo's another meeting on Boxing Night that I almost forgot. So there's harness racing, hopefully wherever you want to be in the next few days.
All right, light issue at Bankstown. Let's get back to it. So there's been some maintenance or upkeep issues that might have led to this. Is that what we're sort of alluding to here?
Well, what it is, across New South Wales, most of our tracks that have lighting in was all put in back in the 1980s. It's starting to see the age come into it, so clubs have been advised they need to keep on top of this, and everyone is proactive. Unfortunately for Bankstown, it's getting to a really parlous situation. We've gone to that afternoon meeting, but going forward, we will be seriously looking at Bankstown and what we do with their meetings. It may well be that they'll be afternoon fixtures.
I know everyone in the industry busy. Christmas Day, hopefully they can get some time off to enjoy a bite or two for Christmas lunch.
Yes, certainly, and for everybody in the harness racing industry, hopefully you have a very wonderful time with your families, your friends and everybody. Hopefully these fires aren't affecting you. We wish you all the best, and we'll see you next week just before the New Year's edition.